Hi, I'm Sam Vaal with Vaal Club, and I'm here with Mr. Thomann. We're going to talk about what next term looks like for in-person learning. So what is the plan for next term in-person learning?
Okay, well, the thing we need to understand is first term ends on October 30th, which is much later than normal, but we didn't get the early start like usual. Second term actually begins November 2nd. We will definitely be starting second term at the alternate sites at the churches, but at some point second term we will be moving back into the high school, which is where we're sitting now. So you know, as we ask people to make their decisions on what type of learning they want to partake in for second term, we really want them to consider that fact that it's going to be a mixed bag as far as the alternate sites and moving back in here to the school. If people have concerns about one or the other, we likely will have a date on in the future when we can make other changes if they need to. But people do need to understand that we'll be moving back in here at some point second term, because second term does not end until mid-January. So that's what we're looking at for second term.
All right, and what is the benefit of coming to in-person learning and learning here?
Well, here's the thing is, for some people, remote learning might be working great. You know, I'm sure there's some people out there that are just knocking it out of the park, doing great with that remote learning, getting the grades they need to get those credits. But we do know, based on grades and what we're looking at, that there's a significant number of students that really are not succeeding with remote learning. They're not probably doing as well as they could be if they were in person. And I think one of a couple of the main things that they're missing out on is just that personal connection with the teacher, that relationship with the teacher. You know, we may have some upperclassmen who are taking remote classes with a teacher that they've known for a couple of years, and they have that connection. They know what, you know, let's say Mr. Ryden, for example. They know what Mr. Ryden means when he says something. They know what his expectations are. But we may have some, you know, lower classmen that have never met a certain teacher that they're taking the class with, and when that teacher emails them something, they may not know what that expectation is. They may not understand it. So I do think we've got a good number of kids that maybe jumped into the remote learning for good reason, whatever that reason might have been, but it's maybe not what they expect, or not as easy as they expected it to be. Because in some ways it is more difficult than being in person, just being able to have those conversations. So those are the main things, are those connections and those relationships, and being able to talk to that teacher face to face.
And some kids choose remote learning because of health concerns. So what are the precautions being followed by students and staff that ensure health and safety?
And it's a very good question, Sam, because I think going into this term, a lot of students, parents, teachers, myself, we didn't really know what to expect. How is this thing going to shake out when we all get back together? How are we going to be affected by that? We knew that we had to start wearing masks in school. We knew that we had to do our best to keep class sizes small. We had to stay socially distanced at school, those types of things. But we still didn't know how that was going to shake out. Okay. Now that we've been back and doing it for about 6 weeks, I think we've all been pleasantly surprised that those things are helping us. They're helping us stay in person. You know, when we have had a couple of positive cases, we've had very few kids have to be quarantined that were close to those kids, because kids are wearing masks, they're staying socially distant, our class sizes are fairly small. So you know, those things that we're doing are working. So that's why we're really encouraging people to say, hey, if you're worried about the virus coming into the school year, our message now is, well, we can't ensure anything 100%, but we can say what we're doing is working.
And like you mentioned earlier, at some point we will be back in this high school. So once we return, what are some changes that the new construction, what can students be excited for?
Well, that's a great question. That's a positive question. We really are excited about this space. You know, just this space that we're sitting in right now. We're not giving away too much here, but there's just a lot of really cool spaces for kids to be and be comfortable, be relaxed. We were just talking about maybe more of a collegial feel, but we want kids to be able to come to school, be relaxed, be focused on learning, and be comfortable being here. You know, last year you were here with us. We had some not real pleasant conditions. We didn't have carpet. We had some dust, and we got through it. But I think coming back in here now and sitting where we are in the AC with the carpet on a nice couch, it's like, wow, this is gonna be a fun place to be. So we really want kids to come back and enjoy this space, and that's what it's all been for. It's going to be a safer place. It's going to be a more accessible place. It's going to be there's going to be a lot more opportunities for technology and things like that. But when it gets right down to it, it's just going to be a better place to be, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah. For students who want to make that switch, when is the deadline to do that from remote to in-person?
Well, like I said, the term ends on October 30th. Second term starts on November 2nd. We need to know ahead of time who is coming back to us, because we at the churches we have smaller classrooms. We've got to be able to put those classes together in rooms to where we can make sure the kids are spread out. We don't want to just leave it the same as this term and have a bunch of kids return to a certain class and all of a sudden we're crowded. So we need to know a couple weeks ahead of time. So October 16th is our deadline. We've sent some of that information out already, but this is just another way to get that word out. So those 2 weeks from the 16th through the 30th will give us a chance to sit down with our leadership team, look at those class rosters, plug them into the rooms where they'll be, it'll be most effective for us to keep kids safe.
And how would kids do that switch? How do they let you guys know?
Easiest way is just call in and you can talk to the student services department. But honestly, if you wanted to send me an email, send Mr. Julian an email, or talk to Mrs. Lee or Mrs. Van Gundy, that's your best bet for getting that information communicated quickly.
All right. So if you want to make the switch, don't forget it's October 16th. Now we all have online learning, some more than others. And up next is Connor talking with Mr. Thomann. More about that.
Thanks, Sam. And I'm here with Mr. Thomann, and we're going to talk a little bit more about, for you people that are learning online, and even for those of you who are going in person at the moment, you still do have those online days. So, Mr. Thomann, why is it important for students to stay logged in every day and get their work done every single day?
I think that's important because of one thing: being scheduled, being in a routine. I think that's another thing that a lot of our students are learning, that the importance of a routine. Like it or not, the 8 to 3 schedule of school that we all have been on for all our lives is important, because it makes you get up, it makes you go to school, it makes you be on a routine, it makes you get done what you need to get done. It's like having a job. And for those students that chose remote learning, and those students, the rest of the students that all have 3 days of it right now, I think are learning that, if you kind of get out of that routine, maybe it's easy to hang out on the couch or pick up the PlayStation, or just stay in bed a little bit too long. But I think for those kids that are setting that alarm, getting up, logging on, doing what they need to do every day, they're probably being successful. The people that are waiting and putting it off, maybe not. We may have some night owls out there that are knocking it out in the wee hours and getting their math done at 2 in the morning, and that's fine. But whatever it is you're doing, you got to have a schedule. You got to stay on it. You can't put it off and do it all at once. It's not going to work that way.
Absolutely. And one thing that goes with staying motivated, as you were talking about, was the schedule. So what are some other ways maybe that these kids that are learning online, not just full-time, but also have these 3 days online, what are some ways that those kids can stay motivated to get their homework done, to stay on schedule?
Well, I think the main motivation, once you get to high school, is to get that diploma. And that motivate. If that's not your motivation, it should be, or it should be one of your main things. And we have a requirement: you got to have 28 credits to graduate. If you plow through every year and get all the credits you can get well over that. But I think most kids could have one quarter that maybe doesn't go quite as well, one term that they don't earn some of those credits and still survive. But I think if we get too far into this and students are missing out on too many credits, they're going to put themselves in a jam, be repeating classes and not be on pace to graduate. So, ultimately that's the motivation to get that diploma on time. And that's my concern, is that if we have kids that are doing remote learning that are really struggling with it, we want to either get them back or get the help that they need with the remote learning, so that we don't get in the jam and we don't have kids that are not graduating.
And like you were saying, some students maybe have more problems with online learning, whether it is the motivation, whether it is the schedule, and some of them might be more behind than others. So what would you say that those kids that are really behind, those kids that really need a lot of help, should do to try and get caught back up?
Well, there's students out there that do need to be in remote learning for whatever reason, whether it's a family situation or or just a concern about the virus and those types of things. So we're not going to fault those kids if they need to be in remote learning. It's an option that we have, and it's a good option for some people. But if you are in that status and you do get behind and you start to feel like you can't get caught up, you got to let us know. You got to let us know that you need help. And teachers have time built in their schedule to help those kids. Every day, other kids are getting out at 1:10, then we have lunch, and then we have from 2 to 3 when teachers have remote learning planning time, and that's time that they can contact kids and work with them and get those things done. But then also, most of our Fridays are remote learning Fridays. So, those are days when if you needed that contact with a teacher but weren't keen on coming into a full classroom, you could schedule time to come in and meet with the teacher on those Fridays and get some work done or get the help that you need. So we have that time built in, and we would encourage people to use it.
And another thing for students isn't just staying motivated or keeping their schedule up, but it's staying positive. Being home, doing all this work, it can, especially if you do get behind, it can feel like you're kind of being overloaded with a lot of assignments. So what are some ways that students can kind of stay positive and stay in the right mindset for this?
This has been a big one for me this fall because, fall at the high school is supposed to be an energetic time. It's supposed to be a real positive time when we're having a ton of fun. And a lot of that has been taken away from us. So it is, whether you're in person or you're in remote, it's difficult right now to kind of keep positive and keep, moving forward in a good light. But our thought is, hey, let's keep an eye on the prize, and that's graduation. That's getting back into this beautiful school. Keep an eye on that prize. That we do have good things ahead of us. But also, if you are in remote learning, or in those 3 days when everybody's in remote learning, if you're feeling lonely and you're feeling out, we've been blessed with a few months here of just gorgeous weather. If it's like me, I just get out and take a walk, go around and get outside for a little while. Don't just, stick your head in the books or take a nap. Get out and enjoy some sunshine, things like that. But there's lots of things you can do, but don't just hole up in your room. Get out and see some people.
All right, I'm Connor. You guys saw Sam earlier here with Mr. Thomann for Vaal Club, so thank you.
Thanks, Connor.